Aloha, it's Tom, and in this video you're going to listen to an interview that I did with Pam Gallagher. Pam has been practicing astrology for over 50 years, and it's an episode from my podcast, The Empowered Entrepreneur Show, and so I hope you enjoy it.
Welcome to the Empowered Entrepreneur Show. Discover your life's purpose, reprogram your mind for success, and attract an abundance of paying clients to your business. Now, here's your host, Tom Tenaglia.
Aloha, Empowered Entrepreneur. I am Tom Tenaglia, and you're listening to the Empowered Entrepreneur Show. And today I'm joined by Pam Gallagher. Pam, welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Tom. I have been studying and teaching astrology for almost 50 years. I started out many years ago to become a psychologist. So that was my goal because I wanted to help people and I wanted to understand people's behavior and how I could help them change that behavior perhaps or have a better life. When I found astrology, I found something I thought was a better tool. And so that's how I kind of got into astrology a very long time ago.
Okay. And what would you say astrology is exactly?
Well, to me, astrology is a science and an art. The science is the astronomy, the math, the systems, the cycles of the planets in our solar system, in our galaxy. And so that whole pattern of movement has been studied for over 4,000 years. So to me, astrology, the science of it is the physical movement of the planets and the fixed stars and our Earth in relationship to our environment. And then the art is interpreting how that impacts our lives and personally, how it's going to affect us and what's it good for? What can it help us give us more direction? Can it help us be a better person? Can it give us good timing? So to me, it's a science and an art, and it's the actual study of the cycles and systems in reference to what's happening on Earth.
Okay. Why does astrology work so well? So sometimes I hear or read people going, how is it that the planets in the solar system thousands of miles away can have an impact in our lives here on Earth?
That's a really good question. I don't know that anybody knows the the earthly reason for that. What we do know by observation is that when there are eclipses, there are lunations, planets are in certain areas, the planets seem to have universal energy, as does everything. And I think now that quantum physics has become much more of a known commodity, that they've proven that the microcosm is in match to the macrocosm, that what's going on above, as Hermes Trismegistus, the saying, as above, so below. And so those universal patterns do impact us on Earth. The idea that we're all part of the universe and we're all one. And as that energy moves, at some electrical quantum thread, we're impacted. So I believe there are really probably no accidents, but there are these energy synchronicities. So over 50 years, that's my observation. And I'll tell you why it works, I can't tell you, but that it does. I can tell you after 50 years of observation that it does.
That's a really, really good point. I think the idea of as above, so below, the idea that we are all one, and if it does work for you as as a student who learns astrology and applies it in their life, if it works, why not keep using it too, right? Like, why try to figure out why it works? If it does, if it makes a difference, I mean, is that kind of your thinking too then, or?
Well, observation. I believe that most of us learn through experience. And I've been observing, watching, and using divine timing for almost 50 years of my life. And what I can tell you is that when there are eclipses, they hit certain patterns, they trigger certain planets. the shifts are predictable. And I have a huge astrology practice based on the fact that my timing is accurate. And people are like, I don't know why that worked, but I can tell you that it does. So there is synchronicity in our lives, whether we understand it or not. It's kind of like gravity works, whether you understand it or not. Gravity's still working.
Yeah.
Electricity is still flowing, whether you've studied electricity or not. And universal systems and energy do have a pattern, and they do work.
I like that. Can you talk a little bit more about what you mean by timing?
There are times, there's a time in the season for all things under the sun, written in Ecclesiastes. We are observing it in the astrological pattern. I can tell you that I came out of a very strong Christian limited background, and I was going into the psychology world. When I found astrology, I thought, surely this could not be true. We surely don't have a roadmap. There's not this universal roadmap how we're connected to the rest of time. And I was, of course, the greatest doubter until I continued to observe. And I went, oh my, what if we do have a roadmap? Aren't we intelligent? We aren't using it. So I believe that the timing of the seasons, there's a time to move, there's a time to be still. And I think if you understand your astrological timing, you can have a better flow in your life. And I believe that's what we all want, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I like that. If the timing is there, let's be smart about it and use it.
It's my philosophy.
Yeah, I like it. I tell you, astrology has made things easier for me with figuring out, should I go down one path or should I go down another? And I really attribute astrology to the success of my relationship. Just because my partner is very different than me, as you know.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes that's a very good thing. I don't know that we have to pick a certain pattern to be happy. I think if we understand the pattern and we allow other people to follow their natural pattern, everybody's happier. Nobody wants to be alone either.
Yeah, true. So I know, okay, one of the ways, so you've talked about a pattern, a map, a path of sorts. And I think one of the ways that we use astrology to identify that is through the natal chart. Would that be a correct statement?
That's absolutely correct. The natal chart is a snapshot of the solar system from above toward Earth and Earth's relationship to the solar system. It's called geocentric is the method. And it's the natal chart is a snapshot. It's of your toolbox that you brought. It's the energy that you have to work with. Now, if somebody gave you a whole box of Legos, you have many choices of how you're going to put those together. But if they gave you a box of Legos and it had no wheels, you're not going to build a car. You have to find something to build that's appropriate for the energy that you have. And the natal chart gives you that. You still have the option, you have free will and in what you choose to build or not build.
That's interesting. So it's like the natal chart is like the bucket of Legos that we have, and then we get to apply how we want to use them in life. Did I understand that?
Right. We have choices. Do you want to build something very simple? Do you want something more complex? And I think it gives you direction on how to use your energy. Why wouldn't we use it? Why wouldn't we use that information if we have it? And we do have it. So knowing the natal chart is created by the date, the location, which is longitude, latitude, and the time that you were born. And that creates a natal chart or a snapshot picture that is the potential pattern for your lifetime.
Potential.
Potential is the key word there.
That's what I'm going to say. It sounds like the key word. Can you expand upon that?
There is some destiny. There are certain energy patterns and certain things that are going to occur beyond our control. We all know that. We all have that by observation. There are also times when we have free will and we can choose how we're going to use the energy. So between the two, there is potential for what you want to build. My belief and drive is to help people keep moving, keep growing, not stay in old patterns, be willing to take risk and go for growth. Isn't that what we really all want to do, is become a more complete whole person, happier and at peace and joyful every day? I mean, isn't that the goal?
Sure sounds like it to me. So within, let's see. So you recently launched a book called Becoming Your Sun Sign. Can you describe a little bit about what exactly is a sun sign? The subtitle is The Journey from Your Moon to Your Sun. And what does it mean to become your sun sign? What does it mean to go from the moon to the sun?
Okay, well, most people are familiar with sun sign, and you look in the newspaper and it says if you're born between March 20th and April 20th or April 21st, you're in Aries. And you can see these dates and you can figure out where the sun, what you're reading is where was the sun against the zodiac belt at the time you were born. And the sun, everything on earth is growing toward the sun. The trees, the grass, the flowers, the weeds, even the crystals, and so are we. So we're growing toward our sun sign. It's not, we have the potential for that, but that's our work in this lifetime, is to grow into that. Now, the moon is the other light in the sky, and the moon goes around Earth every month, where the sun we see the sun against all 12 signs in a year. That's what our calendar is based on. The moon goes around every month, every 27 and a half days, the moon will complete that cycle. The sign that the moon was backdropped against when you were born is significant. The moon has been known through mythology in ancient times to be the soul pattern, your instincts, your memory, how you react. The moon's considered to be emotional. The moon has no light of its own in physical approach. So it's a reflective planet. It reflects the sun, and at different angles, you get different pictures of the moon. Well, the moon is known, or in ancient times was considered to hold the memory, continued to hold your pattern. So taking that belief into now, if you know a person's moon sign, you know what their instinct is, their emotional response, how they react, how they feel and behave as a child. And then the goal is to journey forward toward that sun, like everything else on our planet, and pull toward the light. And so the journey from the moon to the sun, to me, is the base of our soul growth in this lifetime.
I think, wow, what I heard in there about how everything is growing towards the sun anyway, whether it's plants or people, and the moon is also how we are, like as a kid. It's almost, then I don't know if I'm just making conclusions or if this is what you're saying, but it sounds like that as we grow in our life and go from being a child to being an adult, we're kind of naturally moving in that direction as moon to sun already. Or is there a
We hope
chance?
so.
We hope so.
We hope so, Tom.
Okay. And so by knowing what that moon to sun path is, it can make it easier on us? Or what's the benefit of being aware of that particular path?
If someone told you the easier way to get from New York to California, and there was a straight path, or you could wander in the desert for 40 years, which one would you rather do?
It's a good way of putting it. It's definitely.
If somebody said to me, you have a roadmap, and we can help you get to your potential, help you to reach your goal,
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what it is. And so when I found astrology, and I'm like, wow, if there is a roadmap and there is divine timing and synchronicity. I don't know how many people are surfers, but if you've ever surfed and you're in the water, if you want to get to the shore and you want to ride the wave and have the experience, you have to wait for the right wave. It's timing.
Hmm.
It's not just I want to do this. It's like if I'm going to surf, I need good timing. I need to find the right wave, and that's timing.
That's a really great way of putting it, I think. Using astrology to help figure out what that wave is that you want to ride and then being able to ride it in the direction that you want to go. That's pretty
Huh?
cool. Yeah. How can someone use astrology to help them understand their purpose or their gifts?
Well, you have a chart, and that natal chart says, I have I have certain things that are easy to me, and I have other things that are difficult. Now, it doesn't mean that you have free will to do whatever, but why wouldn't, if there was a higher goal and there was something you were trying to accomplish as a soul, who wouldn't want to use the abilities and talents they have to accomplish their goals as opposed to, um, I mean, I'm female and I'm short. Now, for me to want to go be a foot racer and to jump hurdles, I mean, I'm not saying that if I practiced my whole life, I might not accomplish that, but gee, there's so many other things I could do with my natural talents. And I'm really not built to be a pole vaulter or a hurdle jumper. So sometimes if you knew what the natural talents that you had, most people would like to experience success in this life. And the chart is very helpful in telling you what your natural talents are.
So is that basically implying that we're not consciously aware of those natural talents?
Most people are not. Most people are asleep to their gifts and their talents. Because if you ask a young person what they want to do when they grow up, they have no clue because they don't know what their interests are and they don't know what their talents are because they haven't, by trial and error, gone through. You could spend your whole life in trial and error trying to find out what you're better at. But if you have a roadmap and you have a guide, I think you should use it. And that's what the chart is. It says there are four elements: fire, earth, air, and water. If you have a lot of the earth element, why wouldn't you do business and practical grounding, manifesting things?
Makes a lot of sense to me. What going back to timing just for a minute, it dawned on me. What would you say makes your timing so accurate?
Why am I, and I am known for having strong astrological, being able to see astrological timing. I use several tools. Transits are the way the planets are moving in the sky now. And so if you were born today, that would be your natal chart where those planets are. If you were born 40 years ago, then where they are today in relationship to your natal chart would give you some timing, would give you direction. So I use transits. I also am a very big believer that the new moons, full moons, and eclipses, which keep in mind that the pyramids and Stonehenge and Avery and all these spiritual sites were clocks. It's what they did. Stonehenge had the 13 columns for the 13 lunar months. They're clocks. They're solar system clocks. So I use transits and I use new moons, full moons, eclipses. Eclipses are very powerful. And then there are even some methods of looking at a person's individual growth, which are a little more advanced astrological techniques. I personally use them all to help the person understand their timing. And I watch the transits a great deal or where the planets are now against the natal chart. So,
And just through your experience, then you're able to see things that maybe people starting out might not see as obviously. Is that
Yes,
basically what it comes down to?
yes, it comes down to experience, observation. Many times I will explain to a client that reading a chart's much like reading an X-ray.
Okay.
Some people are better at it than others, and the more experience you have, the more awareness you have of what you're looking at, and you might see a pattern you've seen before, and you recognize the potential of that pattern. So experience counts.
I like that you've talked about observation a bit, because now when I start looking at more and more charts, if I see similar patterns to previous charts, I'm able to tap into how someone also explained it to me from their perspective and figure out which perspective is this pattern for the person that I'm looking at now.
That's right. Well, you may see one of the heavy planets um, making a relationship to somebody's sun, but it depends on what sign that sun was in, what their response or use of it's going to be. So
Yeah.
this the sun was in a sign, it was in an element, and so when it gets activated, that base energy counts.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes I come across, what I like about how you teach is you find a way that any planetary placement in the chart can be used to help somebody shine, to help somebody on their path. It may not be the most easiest placement, but you don't go down this doom and gloom path that sometimes other people do. And I think that's very helpful because there's no bad chart, so to speak, right? I mean, that's at least my perspective on it. How would you explain that?
My one of my main core beliefs is that energy is pure. It is neither good nor bad. It's our use of it, and that we have free will. We have choice of how we're going to use the energy. I can tell you that water is a very powerful force. Water can be used for many things. It can be used to hydrate your body. It can be used to wash your dishes. It can be used to feed your plants, to grow food. It can also be the most destructive force on the planet. If you've ever been in a hurricane, if you've ever had a flood, you know that water has both positive and negative results as it corresponds to its movement. So energy is pure. How we use it is whether it's going to be higher. And so I always encourage people, here's the high end of how to use this energy, here's the low end, and remember, you have choices.
That's a really really good point, right? What the energy that we see in the chart is, even though it might be one planet in a particular sign, but it's still along a spectrum.
Yep.
Yeah, that there's a high expression of it and a lower expression, and obviously the goal would be to use it more in a higher expression. And that one of the things that I learned from you, or maybe through one of your guest lectures, I can't recall exactly, is that even in the natal chart, while it's a snapshot of the solar system at the time of your birth, the planets in that chart are still moving. And so there's a movement within the natal chart that can also give us even more clues.
Correct. It's called the progress chart. And so as you move through life, that chart grows and it moves like a clock. And so as the planets move forward, they will activate the potential promise in the chart. So,
Very cool. How would somebody use astrology in business or sales or entrepreneurship from your perspective?
Well, if you've got timing, let's take what's coming up in January. This is we're now in November of 2019. In January, Saturn and Pluto, two heavy planets, will complete a relationship, what's been a difficult 6 months actually for most of the planet for hard decisions. They will complete a conjunction, or they will come together exactly on January 13th. Now, for business people, many opportunities are coming up that if they want to push that forward, they want to have closure on a decision by in January. So business people, I have quite a few business clients, and to help them when to set up their corporation or when to have a major conference, because there are better times than others. When to hire, or perhaps not whether somebody's a good person or not, but whether they're going to be good for the position you want them for. So, because they have different strengths and weaknesses. So, if you wanted a good HR person and the person were really a very quiet, conservative, introverted person, they may not be the best for the HR director. They may be great for the statistical background for HR that you need. So it's putting the person with their talents, matching them to the environment of the situation.
So that's a perspective I haven't talked about on the show yet. I think that's really, really cool, right? I've talked about using astrology to find your purpose, to connect with your customers, to look at that relationship aspect of it. Using astrology to figure out if you're going to hire somebody or work with somebody based on their strengths and what allows them to shine, I think is a really cool application of it for sure.
If you're going to hire somebody, you'd like for them to succeed, but they have to have the tools. And to put somebody, that's the Peter principle, to put somebody in a position where they're not really, that's not their strength. You're not doing them a favor, nor are you doing you a favor. So if you want them to succeed, give them something that they're going to succeed at. So
Yeah.
I think it's very important to help in job placement.
I think it sounds like job placement, even communication between them. You mentioned things about young people before, I think even maybe figuring out their direction, and college majors and all sorts of applications kind of emerge out of the concepts of gifts and timing.
I do a lot of counseling with young people who are going to college or are in college, not with what the career exactly they should pick, but where they're probably going to be happier in their career choices. And so the courses, there are students who go into engineering and really don't have that engineering pattern. And so not that they can't do engineering, but is it going to fill their soul? Because
Right.
the detail is not going to flow with their growth. So what do? They end up with a career where they can do it, but they're not happy.
I I have been sharing that idea of happiness versus fulfillment with a number of people recently, because I noticed that some of the things that people do early on, learn early on, there might be a level of initial happiness. There might be a desire, whether it's a parent did something or whatever, and they're kind of following the footsteps. And then later in life, they look back and go, oh my gosh, this isn't actually fulfilling. And in the chart, it's noticeable as, oh, well, that initial thing that you did was meant to be like a launching pad for you to move in this other direction that for some people that they don't see clearly yet, or they're learning about, and then they look back and they see it, but they've already set out on this path. And then what I've observed, and maybe you can let me know if this fits with your experience, is if they're willing to take that chance to move in a direction that they might not be, that might be new to them, it could actually be even more fulfilling.
Growth opens new doors. And quite often you have to start and learn something. You get to be my age and you look back, you realize that there really are no accidents, and the jobs and things that I did have helped prepare me for what I'm doing today. But I certainly aimed, never aimed to be a professional astrologer. I worked in the corporate world. I loved astrology. I did astrology. I watched astrology, but I never ever dreamed that I would be an astrologer. It just never entered my mind. But when I look back, I realized all that was in preparation so that I knew how to run a business, and I'm an ordained minister. I took a lot of counseling courses. Well, that's been very helpful to me in counseling clients. I know the astrology, but the other things that I've done have helped build that bridge to where I am today. So sometimes we don't see it, but we have to trust in the universe. We must keep moving. And that's what I think astrology helps you to make sure you include some of the things you're going to want to do later.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think looking back for me, it's the same thing. All these things kind of emerged into, oh, look, I found myself doing astrology. And I mean, to talk about your timing, you said to me when I first met you several years ago, you said to me I was going to go back to school in the fall. And I had no plans of doing any sort of education whatsoever because I had already finished a degree. I was working on a business, working a day job. And it just so happened that the school that I went to, that fell in my lap in a very interesting way, was yours, to be able to take astrology classes for 3 years. And I had looked at that and I'm like, well, that's interesting. like, so, those synchronicities happen. And then I see, oh, wow, the timing is there. You even pointed out to me about finding a partner, and you said that my partner would actually be one of my friends. And I said to you that none of the women that I've dated have ever been my friend first. They were either meeting online or meeting through other friends or whatever, but they were never actually a friend first. And then a series of events happened where a friend turned into my partner. And so, I mean, it's an amazing gift. I mean, and the neat thing is, I forgot you told me those things, and neither one of those things were things that I was even expecting to occur. So it wasn't like I was looking for it. I was actually like that. There's just no way. And at the time, I didn't know you well enough. I didn't know astrology well enough. I'd seen astrology when I was a kid. I saw my chart when I was about 8. And yet when those things happened and I looked back at them, I'm like, wow, Pam was right. How the heck did she see this? So that to me was an aha moment.
Well, it's not, yes, it's there, and not everybody can see it, but that's where experience and study and hard work come in. And watching the patterns and learning to understand the patterns. And I believe in the patterns. And so having the confidence after seeing it so many times to say, look here, look under this rock, move in that direction. You still have choices. You still could have said, no, I don't want a relationship. I mean, you have that free will. So you also have to be willing. You have to be willing.
Well, I almost didn't sign up for class, to be honest. I was so busy with other things, and like I said, I saw my chart when I was about 8, and I've been looking at astrology for many, many years. It was always something I came back to, and then someone told me that it might be the last time that you run your 3-year program because like you've been doing it for so many years. And from a marketing perspective, doing the Empowered Entrepreneur Show, that's a great takeaway, right? It's like, well, if you're, you might not have another chance to do this. And so I'm like, oh, all right, well, I guess I'll do it. And it was, it, it wasn't something that, now looking back, of course, it made sense. Like the timing was right for that. You saw it in the chart even. And it completely, what's crazy about it is that one decision has completely allowed my relationship to foster, has completely allowed my business to foster, gave me a map for my career transition. It just, it was actually more related to the goal that I had than when I saw it the first time. When I said, "Oh, that's going to get in the way of the goal." Actually, it was actually more related to how the goal would be achieved, and I had no clue.
Right. Well, in relationship to my saying, what people saying, well, are you going to teach again? I am older. Let's face it, I just had my 75th birthday. I still work 6 days a week. I teach 4 nights a week and I love it. But I never know. I never know whether next year I'm going to be able to maintain the level of the work schedule that I keep. I love it. I am dedicated to it. I enjoy it. It feeds my soul. However, I'm a realist and one never knows. And at this point in my life, I have to say to people, I can't promise you that next year I will start a 3-year program, 500 hours. You have to, and people say to me, well, why did you say that? And I said, because I can't promise you,
Right, right.
I mean, I did start another class this year, but I have to think long and hard whether I'm going to make that 3-year commitment to take those people through so that they have that full, so they can sit for their diploma and be certified to get certified with the international organization. Obviously, if I couldn't, I would stop. But so far, so good. I'm grateful. And my daughter does help run the school and she's taking over more. So she and I are starting to do more and more together. So it looks like Midwest School of Astrology does have a future.
Oh, I'm sure.
Pam Gallagher.
What's that?
I said the school has a future beyond Pam Gallagher.
I sure hope so. And I'm gonna soak up as much as I can from you, as especially like during this time. I mean, I believe that astrology enters our life at the right time to that if like somebody I remember somebody said, oh my gosh, like I'm just finding out my chart now, I have so much more work to do. And the response that came to my mind is, if you found out your chart, there's still enough time to do the work that you need to do, based on the chart.
I truly believe that the chart comes when you're ready. I don't think that I think the door opens from within. I think that something has to occur in your life or within you that makes you receptive to a greater plan, higher purpose, and higher growth. That scares some people.
Yeah.
That feeds my soul. It makes me excited to think that, there's more growth.
I like what you said. Like there's a certain placement in the chart that you said, look, if you're breathing, you can still work on this.
That's right. The North Node.
Yes.
I tell my clients, I have clients in their 80s, if you're still on the planet and you're still breathing, you still have work to do. So
yeah,
you may be doing it from a chair, but do it.
I like that. And of course, as a double Capricorn, doing more work is always something that I enjoy. But for other people, it's more of, hey, we're here on this planet for a purpose, right? So,
right. I look like we waited a long time to get the chance to choose the chart and choose the family and choose the work. And the work may be learning to have fun and play. It may not be work.
That's right. That's right.
All you Leos and fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sag, one of your great goals is to play.
Let's see, we talked about career, business. How can someone use astrology in relationships?
Well, that's a very important thing. Many years ago on radio programs, they would have astrologers, and the question was, who's compatible with me? Well, There's a bigger schedule to that, bigger plan. Whatever you draw to you, you can learn from for sure. But there are some relationships that are easier than others. If you're looking for challenge, there are certain signs that will be more challenging. Others will flow and be easier to do. But there is a method of astrology called comparison. It's called synastry. There's several different ways to do that. To say not is the relationship good or bad, but this is how it's working, and this is what you can learn from this, and here's where you're connected. So grow into it and allow the other person to be who they are. So I think it helps people with language and communication, and it also helps them with acceptance. And I think if we can come from love, the relationship stands a better chance of surviving.
And it's not just a universal this sign versus this sign kind of thing. It's more that person and their expression of the energy in relation to your energy, your natal chart, right?
Yes, it's not just sun signs. There's Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn are the 7 visible planets, and when you look at those in relationship to one another, you will get what's easy and what's hard. So it's a choice.
Yeah, because sometimes people will say, "Hey, I'm this sign. Should I date this sign?" It's like, that's not enough information.
That's right. That's not enough information.
And I had one time somebody say, "Hey, should I date this person?" And I said, "Well, I can't tell you because I'm not God. All I can do is say, if the two of you want to date, we can talk about how to relate, right?
Right. How to make it work.
How can somebody get in touch with you if they want to learn more or get your book or schedule a reading or take your classes?"
The book is Becoming Your Sun Sign, and I took over 10 years to write it. It was written. I just didn't want to do the editing and completing. And thanks to you, Tom, it finally made it to the marketplace because they were publishing things I really didn't want to deal with. So I'm very grateful to you for that. It's on Amazon. It is now also an ebook. You can also go. It actually has a website, Becoming Your Sun Sign, and you can go straight to the site and you can order off of there. And we have a Facebook page for Becoming Your Sun Sign, and it leads you to an order page. If you order from us at Midwest School of Astrology or the Becoming Your Sun Sign website, it will come directly from us and I will sign it. So anything that comes directly from us, I will personally sign and send that out to you. So we are working, in addition, on a course outline where people will actually be able to get an online contained course series to learn the basics of astrology. That's not the same as taking our 3-year course where you have me live 3 hours a night, as Tom, you've done for 3 years. However, it will be a way for people at their own time and pace to learn the basics and how to read their own chart.
Very cool. So becomingyoursunsign.com is one avenue, midwestschoolofastrology.com.
Yes.
And sweet. Well, Pam, I've definitely appreciate this conversation. And thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Tom. I've enjoyed it.
By the way, did you know that I also do astrological readings? That's right. Just go to empoweredentrepreneursshow.com, click on the resources tab, and scroll down and you will see which astrological readings are available to you. With that, aloha, hui ho. Talk to you again soon.
Thank you for listening to the Empowered Entrepreneur Show.